I had spent only 2 months in the Air Force when I found myself assigned to participate in a multinational exercise just outside of Bangkok, Thailand. Now, having gone to college only half an hour from home, this was the first time I found myself in a foreign land where I did not speak the language and I did not know the customs. Basically, I had no clue what I was getting into, and it was exhilarating. But it was also terrifying. What if I got lost? I didn't know the geography, and even if I had a map, I couldn't read it. I was on the other side of the world from my family. Imagine if I had actually gone on this trip alone. Yet, I couldn't stay cooped up in my hotel room. I had to get out and explore. Yet a casual stroll through the city might turn down the wrong alleyway, and I would wind up kidnapped, never to return. So much uncertainty, yet so much adventure awaited me. I was sure glad that I had my squadron mates with me. In our first reading, Abraham must have felt something similar when God called him to leave familiar territory and go to a foreign country. He knew not what perils awaited him or how long the trek might be. He had no map. He had no safety net. He was leaving his extended family behind, the land of his kinsfolk. He would have been entirely alone had it not been for the abiding presence of his faithful wife, Sarai. Scripture tells us that Abraham went as the Lord directed, and that as a consequence of his obedience, Abraham received a blessing from the Lord, and that he himself became a blessing, one that would overflow into the lives of other peoples. Abraham's was a holy calling, just like that of Timothy, as Paul describes in our second reading. Abraham and Timothy each bore their own distinct hardships, carrying out God's plan of salvation, a plan that was sketched out before time began. This same plan which God envisioned had a role for Abraham as much as for Timothy. It was through Abraham's line that the fulfillment of the words of the prophets came to pass. Christ came, destroying death and bringing life through the gospel. After his resurrection, Timothy followed, setting aside self-reliance and autonomy in exchange for the strength that comes from God. He did so in order that he might live for this gospel, this plan which continues even now to invite people to heed the declaration of the Father to the disciples on Mount Tabor. This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. In this season of Lent, we keep in mind and pray for all of our catechumens who are preparing to commit their lives to Christ. They are stepping out in faith on their own desert trek, following Jesus to new heights. Perhaps prostrate and very much afraid at the unknown ways in which their lives are soon to change after baptism. Yet, at the same time, they have the exhilaration of knowing that everything in their lives, every facet, will be transfigured. Are you wondering what kind of life Jesus is calling you to? Perhaps he's asking you to consider life as avowed religious. Perhaps he's asking you to serve in the priesthood. Perhaps he's calling you to return home to the church. I encourage you, do not be afraid. Embrace the uncertainty and take the journey. You will not go it alone. We will be with you. May the Lord bless you, and may you too be a blessing.